INFJs are considered idealists, and for the longest time, I didn't think that that was something that ever had to be discussed. It was a nice thing to hear, and it was just like a light-hearted compliment. It turns out being an idealist can get you in a lot of trouble. It can bring you a lot of success. It can get a lot of attention to you, unwanted attention. It can really catapult your life to a completely new stratosphere, but it can also make you be the target of so many people who don't want you to live that out. So today, let's talk about what it means to be an idealist in the world of realists, how we're not going to allow anybody to knock it out of us, but at the same time, it's nothing we should ever have fights over. It's nothing we ever have to justify or explain or make another person understand, but at the same time, know that it doesn't mean that you have to keep it hidden. There are many places where you can live it out, and there are so many opportunities where you as an idealist can not only make a change, but can actually experience life in the way you always want it. Before we get into the topic, I want to remind you that this month only I offer a bundle on the Infj Epic Life audio guide and ebook. You can get it at a great promotional price only in October. You can also download the free poster on the Infj Epic Life formula. And if you want to take to the next level, you want to join hundreds of idealist INFJs that create the INFJ Epic Life together, then join us and come on over to BOOTCAMP. Our next live call will be October 25th, and we're going to tackle priority management for INFJs, which is very specific and tailored to us. Everything you need to know, you can find through the links in the description. The first thing to understand for us, but maybe even for others, is that our idealism is not a choice. This is not something where we just decide we're going to be idealist one day and the next day we're going to be so-called realists. Being an idealist means you're comparing something to a vision. You see what could develop. You see what opportunities lie in front of us. And it has been such an extreme journey for me to recognize how many people are not willing to go for their potential, how many people are standing in their own way, and they're actually standing in our way. This is not me saying INFJs are better than other people. I don't believe this at all. But I had to recognize that this is something that is keeping me back. It is something where I felt like I had to either convince people that my way is the right way. I also wanted people to stop projecting their worldview onto me and wanted to explain myself. I wanted us both to be on the same page. And you're not going to get to this place. This is just something we have to understand. There are people who see the world quite similarly to you. For example, other INFJs. That's why I'm such a huge advocate of the bootcamp, because there's a place where you recognize each other in so many ways. But that doesn't mean that we as INFJs are superior in any kind of way. We see the world from a specific perspective, and other people just see it from a different one. That's all there is. Because being a realist means you're going to look at how life has worked so far. You're going to see it through your own limiting beliefs. And we as idealists can also see the world through our limiting beliefs. For example, this belief of I have to make another person understand before I can go for my dream. Being an idealist is an incredible opportunity as long as we understand that people will always underestimate us. They will look at us from their perspective, and the only way we could make another person see what we could develop is if we turn our idealism into realism, meaning we actually create results that can be considered realistic. And we have to really get to a place where we understand we don't need anybody to believe in our ideas. We don't need anybody to be on the same page as us. What we need, though, is that people around us are letting us live life the way we want. So that meant for me, I'm not explaining myself. If people have a problem with who I am and how I see the world, they can distance themselves to me. I'm not going to make decisions for them or try to find a bridge for both of us. I'm saying, I understand where you're coming from, but this is how I look at life, and I'm not going to change that. I understand that most people around me are realists, and therefore they're not going to jump on the same train as me, but that also doesn't mean that I have to give up who I am, particularly because it isn't a choice. It's how we see life and how we see the world. The pain of seeing what could be being ignored. As INFJs, I hear this over and over again, and this has caused me the biggest heartbreak of my life when I've been in situations, and this has been at work, this has been with friendships, family, romantic relationships, pretty much every single area of my life where I saw how things could develop, not only for me, but also for the company, for the other person, for whatever opportunity could be created. And another person or an entire group has no room for that. That is just the norm. We have to understand it. I think it was Jordan Peterson, but I'm not sure, like talking about creative people, how they're not necessarily going to thrive within the corporate world because they're actually the ones who need to be making the big jumps. They have the great ideas. They are the entrepreneurial types because they're willing to think outside of the box. Those are not the perfect people to be soldiers who act in accordance to what the system wants. And for us as idealists, it's very similar. People will not want you to think and live that much outside of the box because it makes them uncomfortable. It is not how they're wired. It doesn't make them feel at ease. It is unpredictable. It is not what is expected. And when you encounter a person like this, the worst thing we as INFJs could do is to continuously try to make the other person see just what great results we could actually achieve. That is not going to happen. A person either gets it rather quickly or they don't. Yeah, you can explain your vision once or twice, but it is not because of a lack of your explanation. It's also not a lack of, language barriers in any kind of way. I'm not even just talking about like French, German, and so on. I'm talking about like how you communicate things or that you're not able to make other people experience what you see in your mind. They are not going to believe you. They're not going to believe you because they have not experienced this yet. If you have a vision and you have made it reality over and over again, and the person first doubted you, after a while, they will know, they will probably make it happen because they already made A, B, and Z happen. But it's not going to happen just because you have the vision of this ideal of what could be, and you actually need the other person to execute. That's just not how it works. And the sooner you really get those expectations off your chest, the better. It is going to cause everybody a lot less stress and a lot more understanding. Just know some people will get it, some people won't, but we as idealists have to know that it's on us to actually move the needle with the power that we do have, and we have to create a momentum before anybody wants to jump on it with us. And that's nothing to get angry about. That's just how real life works, because not everybody's an idealist, not everybody sees the world we see it, and that's a good thing. We need people to have different perspectives, even some limiting beliefs that we think other people might be having. There's so many important aspects of being a realist versus an idealist, and we need both. Just understand who you are and what you need in order to feel fulfilled in your environment and with the people you are in contact with. Realism with hope, the INFJ survival skill. Most INFJs at some point in their life experience a crisis where they understand I'm at a threshold here. I cannot continue the way I used to because I go through life with my idealism glasses on. And I don't want to change. I don't want to lose to the system. I don't want to give up on my dreams. I don't want to give up on the humanity of it all. I mean, how often have you been in situations where you felt like, well, I had a connection with a person. We could talk like two human beings, and it's still not happening because of the way, they go through life. And guess what? Most people go through life like this. And it is so hard for so many INFJs in that moment to say, like, what, you want me to give up? You want me to become like one of them? I can't do this. This would be like betraying myself. But at the same time, we know we cannot continue the way we used to if we're constantly being abused for our idealism. We are being looked at as if there was something wrong with us. And we are being made the bad guy or the person who's just crazy or out there or whatever it may be. And what we have to learn is that we have to switch gears. And this is where, the audio guide actually comes in handy because this is my survival guide. The audio guide, everything that I talk about in the audio guide and all the learning material is all based on let's tap into the real world. That is what I mean with realism with hope. Because before you can actually create a life that leans into idealism, we have to understand what is. So independent of your ideals, independent of what could be, and of this great image that you hold so closely to your heart and in your mind, we have to look at life the way it is from the perspective of externally observable facts. You know, the extroverted thinking of it all that we don't like. But if we take this into consideration, it will really get our life to a different level. It's like leaving one game and upgrading it, going from the minor leagues to the major leagues. Because then we understand, okay, I can try my best. I can have the best intentions. I still have to accept the world that I live in and then anchor myself into it before I can take steps into altering it, before I can put my stamp on it and move it in my direction, the way I see life and what I would like to improve. And so that means look at your life right now from those externally observable facts. How are your relationships? How is your living situation? How is your prosperity? How much are you really able to live in your purpose and being appreciated of it? If you feel those things are not the way they should be, then one of the ways that I have found as INFJs to really move forward is to first grieve what is not the way you would want it to be. To kind of like look at your life from that perspective and say, what if it never got any better? What if my financial situation stayed the same, my relationships, the way I'm able to tap into my purpose, it's never going to get better than how it is right now. Because when you really confront yourself with those thoughts, you can actually grieve so much of what could have been. That doesn't mean you can't change things, but before we really can change things, we have to accept what is. And through acceptance comes healing. From healing, happens a lot of appreciation, being grateful for everything we've created. And then we can say, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more realistic, but I'm going to put my spin on it. I'm going to move the needle. I'm going to use my idealism as my North Star. And that's going to help me to create a life that makes me fulfilled, where I see meaning, where I see that I can actually make other people feel good and improve the life of people who actually appreciate who I am and how I see the world. The world needs idealists, but grounded ones. That has everything to do with the fact that most people are not idealists. Most people don't see life the way we see it. And as I said, that's a good thing. We don't want to be all the same. Like every single personality type, every single person who isn't like really malicious is adding to the world in their way. And so we have to look at what we can do to actually make it a better place. And we cannot stay idealists if we're not willing to look at how the world currently looks like. As long as we stay in our mind, as long as we stay in our castles that are all ideal, where we have those great expectations of how interactions should be, how kind we should be to each other, how humane we should be to each other, how like normal every single conversation with every single person should be, it is not reality. That's not how most people operate. The ideal person doesn't exist. Almost everybody has some kind of trauma, if not everybody, generational trauma, things society has conditioned within us, and so on and so forth. We've all seen those movies that are supposed to be far, far in the future where everything is ideal and everybody's calm and peaceful. And, this speaks to INFJs a lot. But it's just not our current reality. And once we're able to look at life the way it is, we can actually move the needle. The best visual representation that I have found is that we as INFJs, if we live in our mind, we are so disconnected from reality. It's like we're living two parallel lives. The one is the one we have in our mind, and the one is the one that everybody else sees. If those two are not connected, we cannot move anything. And on top of it, it doesn't feel good. So many INFJs fall into NITI loops. They fall into despair, into depression, because there is no bridge here. There is no connection to the real world. We feel we're not connecting with others. Belonging isn't there because the bridge isn't made. But if we understand that every single person, INFJ or not, has their unique challenges. Every single person wants belonging. Every single person needs to feel like they're bringing value. We can really connect on those things. And to then understand, yes, I can make choices that make me look weird. I can make things happen that people don't understand. But because of that, I can create amazing results with my friendship groups, in my family, at work, whatever it may be. And it's our idealism that makes us want to push in that direction. So look at your idealism as an incredible gift. But as long as we only keep it separated from the world, as long as we're not willing to kind of like stand out in a way where people see that we're different, but we also don't expect people to, do the same steps that we're making, right? Allow them to play by the rules, allow them to live in the box, because we can step out of the box. We can create change without it really affecting our self-image in a negative way. So let's be idealists, but let's be grounded ones. Anchor in who you are into your current real life and make changes from that point on. Change your life starting from those externally observable facts, and then lean into your idealism as a North Star, and you will see immense improvements. You will start loving life like you've never had before. Remember, the audio guide is a great place to start. The ebook is also, a representation of everything I went through when I was in the trenches. And if you want to take it to the next level, come on over to BOOTCAMP. And then last but not least, you have to reclaim idealism as a power, not a weakness. So I've never seen idealism as a negative trait, but I know a lot of INFJs feel like it's keeping them back. In a way of, oh, the world is so ruthless and all they care about is materialism and this is so not a nice life to live and it makes me be an outsider. Look at it from the perspective of people wish they were idealists. They wish they could look at life the way you do. It's not that they would ever come up to you and say, yeah, I'm secretly jealous of the way you see life. They're probably not even conscious of it. And I'm not even like projecting onto other people saying, yeah, people treat me bad because they're jealous of me. Nothing like this. But on some level, when people have a strong reaction towards you, there is something that they're not tapping into themselves. Otherwise, it would be indifference. We all know that. So how can we really look at our idealism as a strength and not a weakness? We have to understand that this is not something you go bragging about. This is not something where you tell every single person, yeah, I believe we should really talk to each other from a level of, we're all human and we're all on one level. Yeah, you may think that, you may believe that internally, but a lot of people don't. Even if people actually believe they're lower than you on some social hierarchy that they've put themselves and you on, if you talk to them from the perspective of, we're all people, we're all the same, I want to respect you the way you respect me, if they themselves believe in this hierarchy, they're just going to get mad at you. I've experienced this many times. So this isn't even about people thinking, oh, you should put them on a pedestal. It's just that if you don't live by the same rules that they feel like they have to live by, it's going to cause trouble. So understand, it is a powerful tool because it gives you a shortcut in life. But it's not going to give you that shortcut if you actually want to convince other people of living the way you live. It's also not going to give you that shortcut if you feel like, who are you to use that shortcut when other people are suffering? Every single person has their unique challenges with the way their personality is, and every single person has also the advantages of their personality. So look at your idealism as a powerful tool that will allow you to make choices that other people don't dare to take. And because of that, you can create an amazing life story that you can look back on and know, yeah, I made that journey worthwhile. That actually was a good ride. And that's what we all want at the end of it, to know that we have experienced life on such level that makes us feel complete. So if you want my help with it, I offer one-on-one coaching. You can start off with the bundle in October. You can join us in BOOTCAMP. The next live call is October 25th. And I hope to see many of you there. Everything you'd like to know when it comes to me helping you to get to the next level, you can find through the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then check out the video you see on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.